Welcome to the FL Community Podcast, created for the community by the community, where we discuss living with follicular lymphoma with a particular focus on thriving beyond diagnosis both physically and mentally. The following podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. Please speak with your doctor before making any health decisions.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the FL Community Podcast. It's so nice to be here with you all. I'm Dr. Paul. I'm here with Nikki and with Nicola and our special guest for today, Simon Earle. Thank you so much for all of your emails and your comments and your downloads for our first two podcasts. We're really excited to be recording more and bringing more to you. Please keep those emails coming in. Today, we're going to be looking at a patient's story, Simon Earle's story. And I'd love to pass over to you, Nikki, to give us a proper introduction for Simon.
Thank you, Paul. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Simon Earle. Simon is a long-time member of the Living with Follicular Lymphoma community. He joined about 7 years ago, but Simon was first diagnosed with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma back in 1999 and was treated with CHOP chemotherapy. Then in 2017, he experienced a relapse. This time it was follicular lymphoma and was subsequently treated with bendamustine and rituximab. Since then, he's faced some major health challenges, including heart failure, which was likely a result of the chemotherapy, and a stroke in 2020. He even took part in a clinical trial for stem cell treatment for his heart. Simon is now retired and continues to be an active member of our community and a dedicated patient advocate, supporting several charities, including the Follicular Lymphoma Foundation. So welcome, Simon.
Welcome, Simon.
Yep. Hi, Simon.
We thought we'd start with, if you could talk about your initial diagnosis in 1999.
Sure, yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that, like the day you heard the news and how you felt?
Yeah, I can do that. It's a long time ago now, but I can just about remember it. What happened was that I suddenly found a lump in the side of my neck, which was about the size of a ping pong ball, I suppose. And initially, I thought it was just a gland, or could have been mumps or glandular fever, which I had suffered from when I was only 17 years old. So maybe my immune system was weakened at that time. But I found this lump in the side of my neck. I went to see my GP, and my GP referred me to a specialist at what is now the Spire Hospital in Blackpool. And I saw a Mr. AJ Negam, who is a renowned consultant in ear, nose and throat. And first thing he did was to stick tubes up my nose, which was quite uncomfortable. It then went down my throat, and we then looked at a television screen together, which showed the inside of my throat. And he decided at the time that there was something wrong with it. He wasn't sure what it was. He said it could be TB, it could be a number of things. But then he referred me to Dr. Paul Kelsey, who was a hematologist and oncologist at Blackpool Victoria Hospital. So I went to see Dr. Kelsey, and he said, well, whatever this lump is, whether it's benign or whether it's malignant, it's going to have to come out. So he actually referred me back to Mr. Negam, who then carried out an operation. I've still got a very slight scar. It's almost invisible, where he opened up this side of my throat, my neck, and took the lump out, which was then, they then did a biopsy on it, and what came back was diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Within a week, I was sitting down having my first chemotherapy, and that was a tough decision at the time, because I wasn't really ready for all this. It was going to upset my working life, and I told Dr. Kelsey that I didn't have time for all this. He said, well, you're going to have to make time, because now this is serious. So okay, so I then underwent. Well, he decided not only did I have to have the standard CHOP chemotherapy. And in those days, rituximab was only just being introduced, so we didn't have the rituximab. So I had CHOP chemotherapy, but he also said that the scan that I had showed that I had some cancer in my spinal cavity. So he decided that in addition to the CHOP chemotherapy, in between doses, I had to have in what they call intrathecal methotrexate, which is methotrexate injected in between the the vertebrae in the spine.
Is that a radiation type? What is that?
No, there's just another form of chemotherapy.
Oh, okay.
Methotrexate is the drug.
Oh,
And so I had to have this injected into my spinal column, which of
Wow.
course, which is a separated system to the rest of your
Mm.
immune system, I suppose. And he said it had already spread. The lymphoma had spread to my spleen and a small amount in my colon. So it was
wow.
diagnosed as stage 4. So
Mm.
it was fairly
Yeah.
advanced. And so I had 8 rounds of chemotherapy, one every 3 weeks, and in between those, I had the methotrexate. So I didn't really have an awful lot of time to recover from the initial chemotherapy dose, and so it was quite a tough period. I had dreadful headaches that went right down into my neck and into my shoulders,
Mm.
a bit like migraine type headaches, I suppose, and I think this particularly the methotrexate went up into my head and caused these migraine type headaches. And I said, I'm really struggling with these. And Dr. Kelsey said, well, we'll stop taking them after you've had 4. So instead of I was due to have 6 of the intrathecal injections, but in the end, I only had 4. And I did complete the CHOP chemotherapy, the 8 sessions of that, and it did the trick. I lost all my hair everywhere, eyebrows, eyelashes.
oh
In fact,
gosh.
I still have probably the smoothest legs in Southampton
Yeah.
because it never came back.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
That's
so
lucky.
yeah, I don't need
One
one of
less thing
those.
to worry
I don't
about.
need one of those Gillette razors that the ladies use. So yeah,
Some people will pay a fortune for those smoother legs, Simon.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it worked, and I
Mm,
was literally in remission then for
yeah.
the next 17 years.
17.
Wow.
Wow.
Gosh.
I just got on with my life and tried to put
Yeah.
it at the back of my mind and carried on doing what I was doing before.
Mm.
Was that
And
hard after you finished treatment and was, basically told to get back to normal or some kind of new normal? How did you deal with that? Was there any, did you have any resources or did you ask for any help or what, what sort of things did you try?
no, I've always tried to eat a healthy diet, I think, and not always successful because I did pile the weight on over the years, and yeah, it's but we still eat a healthy diet today, and
Mm,
I think mentally, initially it was quite tough because I wasn't sure what the future was going to hold.
Mm.
mm,
But I tried to just keep going and get on with my day-to-day life and just to enjoy doing what I normally did.
yeah.
Wow. And it worked. I mean, 17 years
Yeah.
Yeah.
remission is amazing. Am I right thinking that the cancer that you were initially diagnosed with, Simon, is what sometimes FL can transform into?
Mm.
I believe so, yes. Funnily enough, mine transformed the other way.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
And in fact, some doctors even think that I may have been misdiagnosed, that I could have had follicular lymphoma all the way through.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
But it was diffuse large
yeah.
B-cell lymphoma that I was diagnosed with. And
Yeah, so they've caught that, but might not have seen the FL there,
Mm.
and that's sort of been slow growing in the background. What sort of when you were re-diagnosed diagnosed with FL in 2017, what sort of signs did you start to notice, and what made you get investigated?
okay, well, the main ones were that I had these dreadful night sweats. Everything was soaked. In fact, I resorted to sleeping with towels underneath me on the bed because my pajamas were soaked and then the sheets
Yep,
were
been there,
soaked.
done that.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't like a normal sweat and it wasn't sticky or anything like that. It was just wet.
This is what we call a classic B symptom, right? One of them of relapse or of treatment maybe might be necessary is excessive night sweats.
Yeah, I also lost around 10 kilos in about 3 weeks.
Right.
Wow.
It was a huge weight
Three
Eight weeks.
weeks. Wow.
That's
So
a lot.
that's,
and
yeah.
it's not a diet I'd recommend to anyone, but
No.
No.
no, it was dramatic weight loss and
Yeah.
night sweats. So I went to see my GP again, and I was then
Do you have
referred
any
to,
lumps anywhere?
not that I was aware of. I guess I probably didn't check myself as regularly as I should have done. I'm a little bit more fastidious about that these days. I check myself regularly. I'm still having regular checkups, but back in 2017, I was referred to the specialist cancer hospital in Manchester, Christie's, which is a leading research centre as well. And I saw a very good lady oncologist there, and there she decided to offer me bendamustine and rituximab, which I then sort of researched everything about it online and decided that was probably the best way forward for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have
Yeah.
any, did they give you any options? Because I hear that a lot within the group. It's kind of not put on the patient, but it's their choice to have. They say you can have this or that.
Yeah, and that's why I sort of took the time to do a little bit of research myself, because
Yeah.
my opinion is that doctors are there to guide and advise us, and it's our life at the end of the day. So we're the ultimate decision maker, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
that was the first line treatment that they offered at that time.
Yeah.
I did look at what other alternatives were available, and I didn't really think that the success rates were as good as the bendamustine and rituximab. So that's why I chose what the doctor had originally recommended.
And how did you tolerate it? I mean, I've just finished bendamustine and rituximab myself in May.
Much better than the chop. The
Right.
chop
Right.
gave me dreadful headaches, hair loss, and all the rest of it. Sickness as well. Even the anti-sickness drugs didn't work very well with chemotherapy. They gave me, I think it was called ondansetron, and the bendamustine and rituximab, very little side effects really. I just went through it, and it seemed to be pretty good. And since then, I've been in complete remission. I've had regular checkups. I'm still going for checkups every 6 months, mainly because I think they need to keep an eye on me due to my other conditions.
Right. Did you do maintenance, Simon?
No, no maintenance.
Okay.
Maintenance wasn't offered, and I think even if it had been, I probably would not have gone for maintenance because, I'm a big believer that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's a
Yeah,
question
it's
of
such a
whether,
personal decision
well,
to
is
go
it
for maintenance.
prevention rather than cure? Is that the best way
Yeah.
to go, or is it treat it when you've got a problem? And
Right.
that's always a difficult decision for anyone to make.
It's interesting. Because Paul, you're about to start maintenance, aren't you? Was it offered to you in that way, whether you got to choose to take maintenance or not?
Because I'm based in Spain, the doctor here was very adamant that he wanted me to do maintenance.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like you. I kind of was like, well, I've done the chemo. I kind of want to just go and live my life now. And then I spoke to the doctors in the UK who still give me advice and stuff in the background. And they said, actually, yeah, it's probably a good idea. We do recommend it now. So I probably am going to start it, but I'm still in two minds, to be honest. So it's interesting. You have long remissions by the sounds of it. So I'm I don't know, it's
Yeah.
making me question again.
It's that, well, I had maintenance for a year, so and I went almost 11 years until
Right.
I've now just relapsing. But yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. I had a couple of friends a few years ago who they were both making the decision at the same time, and one decided to have the maintenance, one didn't. The one that went with the maintenance, she asked her doctor an interesting question, which I want to tell this because other people might want to ask the same question. She asked the doctor, if this was your wife, would you take the maintenance or would you
Ooh.
not? And he said to her, I would tell my wife to take the maintenance. And I thought that was really clever the way she did that. So yeah, I just thought I'll put that out there in case anybody wants, if they're faced with that as well. And also, I just have a question actually for both Paul and Simon, who have both had rituximab, because I've just recently joined a rituximab Facebook group and I'm learning a bit more about it and the reactions that people have been having to it. I had an initial reaction to rituximab at my first infusion, and it's quite common to have, but a lot of people, it's scaring them off having the immunotherapy. So I just wanted to ask you guys, did you guys have an initial reaction to it, and how did you go with it?
No, I didn't have any reaction whatsoever. In fact, it went
Okay,
very smoothly.
that's
No
great.
problems at all.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Paul?
I did have a reaction. It wasn't terrible, but in the moment, you're a bit freaked out. I
Yeah.
was in hospital overnight, which was the plan for the first treatment anyway. And I just felt pretty awful, but like I had a really bad fever, achy body. I felt a bit drunk, a bit of an allergic
Yeah,
reaction type
that's
feeling.
interesting.
Wasn't a nice feeling
Yeah.
at all. But then they slowed the drip down, and then I kind of came back from that, and then I was fine. And every subsequent infusion, no problems at all. But I don't want people to be put off by it because it's very
Yeah.
common. I'm really pleased you didn't have that experience, Simon, and many don't,
Yeah.
but it is very common,
Yeah.
right?
It is very common. I remember feeling a very itchy throat, and I felt like I started getting like an instant cold or flu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they gave me Benadryl,
Mm.
an antihistamine, and then I calmed down, and they were able to continue the infusion because the first infusion they do it over a much longer period of time just to see how your body tolerates it. And then after that, for every infusion, they would give me some Benadryl beforehand, and then I was fine. So, yeah. So for anybody, deciding whether to take rituximab and is afraid of that initial reaction, it's quite common, and
Yeah.
it's nothing to really be afraid of. They jump on it very quickly.
Yeah, you're in the right place and it's very easily kind of dealt with, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And Simon, I'm just wondering, you had heart failure and then you had a stroke. Was this after your BNR treatment?
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened was after the BNR treatment, just as a routine checkup, they gave me an echocardiogram,
Hmm.
and that showed that I had atrial fibrillation and that my what they call the ejection fraction, which is the rate at which your heart pumps the blood,
Hmm.
was only 29%, when in a normal healthy person it's around 55%, which means that my heart was only pumping at sort of half strength,
Mm.
which then meant that the blood wasn't reaching parts of my body like my feet. And I got a buildup of fluid in my ankles and breathlessness, which I didn't
Yeah.
experience before. But
Wow.
that's why I tend to think that it was possibly the bendamustine that may have caused um,
Ah.
the heart failure rather than the chop. But the doctors kind of split on this. Some of them say, well, it could have been the bendamustine, but it's more likely to have been the chop chemotherapy, and you just live with it all those years and you never knew about it.
Right. What's the
Yeah.
drug? There's a particular drug right in the R-CHOP. Was it vindistrine or something?
Vincristine.
Is that the one that
Vincristine.
is related to the potential heart problems?
I think that's the one that forms part of the chop chemotherapy.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm.
could be. But basically, what happened is that the muscle in my left ventricle has been damaged,
Mhm.
and in most cases, it's irreparable damage, so you just have to live with it. And in my case, I was looking into. I did quite a lot of research on this and trying to find what I could do about it. And I was fortunate to discover online that Bart's Hospital in London was carrying out a series of clinical trials into stem cell treatment, stem cell, using the body's own stem cells rather than from a donor. So it was not a stem cell transplant as such. It was taking the stem cells from the bone marrow in my own hip and then extracting the stem cells from that. They then inserted a catheter into my wrist and fed it up to my heart and dropped these stem cells onto my left ventricle. At the same time, I had to have a pump inserted into my groin, which there was then led up to my heart as well, and that pump kept my heart going throughout the procedure. So
Wow.
it was well, it was what it was,
And
and it
it
didn't
did
take
the
long.
job?
It was all done under a local anaesthetic, so I actually was able to. I was semi-conscious, I suppose, and I was able to see what was going on the screen, although I didn't really understand any of it. It was all it looked like a lot of spaghetti on the screen, lots of black lines, and Professor Anthony Mather, who is the specialist cardiologist at Bart's Hospital, who carries out this research, him and his team, they did a great job, and literally within 2 weeks, my breathing was improved. I was able to walk further without breathlessness, and I was quite optimistic. And it kind of plateaued after a while, and didn't really improve much further. So I still have to play golf with the aid of a buggy. I have to drive around the golf course now instead of walk around it. And so it's affected me a lot. The heart problem has affected me a lot. But I'm now fortunate enough to have gone back to Professor Mather, and he's agreed to give me a second dose, a second dose of this, and I've just had the pre-op tests, if you like, just a couple of weeks ago, and I'm hoping to go forward with the procedure next month.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, that's really interesting. So is that part of the clinical trial still?
Yes, it's the final
Oh,
phase of this particular clinical trial, so hopefully it will have the results that they want. Obviously, this treatment's not available under the NHS in the UK yet.
yeah.
But if it's successful, I hope it will be, because so many people on this trial have had very positive results, even more positive than mine. Some
Oh,
people
that's
said,
amazing.
well, they've got their life back.
So you could find yourself walking around the golf course again. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
potentially.
wouldn't that be wonderful?
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even keeping up with my grandchildren.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Where does the stroke fit into this then? Because that's
Okay, well, in 2020, so what, 5 years ago now, I started to get symptoms again that I thought my lymphoma was relapsing. So more night sweats and a little bit of weight loss. So I contacted Christie's and they said, well, you need to come in for a biopsy. And before you have the biopsy, you need to stop taking your blood thinning medication, which in my case is rituximab. Sorry, it was rivaroxaban. Getting my drugs mixed up. Um, and they told me to stop taking that 6 days before I was due to have the biopsy. And in fact, it should have only really been 48 hours before.
Oh,
And
no.
so in that time, during those 6 days, what happened was a clot formed inside the chamber in my heart. And on the day I was due to have the biopsy, my heart decided to pump that clot to my brain, and I suffered a
wow.
stroke.
Oh, wow.
So instead of going to the biopsy at Christie's, I finished up in the acute stroke unit at Blackpool, Victoria. And what actually happened was I lost the use of my left leg, I lost the use of my left arm and my left hand. Everything down my left side just went completely dead. And thanks only to the prompt action of my wife, who called the ambulance straight away. And we're very fortunate where I lived in Lytham St Anne's is close to the local ambulance depot. And I was literally in Blackpool Victoria Hospital in just over half an hour.
Wow.
Wow.
Must have
That's
been
it.
terrifying, Simon. I mean,
It was. It was. I don't remember much about it myself, but my wife told me that I was very argumentative at the time. And I said, no, I'm not going to
No.
Blackpool. I've got to go for my biopsy.
Oh,
Oh,
And
that would have been traumatizing for her as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
really.
and I somehow apparently managed. This was quite early in the morning, and I somehow managed to get to the bathroom and have a shave
I'm
in
glad
the
you said
time it
shave.
Have
took
to
the
look good
ambulance to
for the
arrive.
nurses.
Yeah, hopping along on one leg. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how
Oh,
that happened, but it all ended quite well, and I was out of hospital within a week. You know,
Oh,
wow.
they gave me the necessary drugs and treatment that I needed straight away, and I recovered the use of my left arm. I still have a slight twitch in my left hand. I can't do the Spock signal with my left hand that I can do with my right. Um,
Mm.
this one. I'll try and do it with this hand. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So,
Oh.
yeah, and my memory is not what it used to be in certain areas. I mean, I can still remember things that happened 50 years ago, like they happened just
yeah.
yesterday. But if you tell me your name now, in 30 seconds, I've forgotten it again. And I know that people say, well, that's just age, but I know myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Simon,
my brain's not as sharp anymore.
you've been through so much in terms of treatments and health complications, but every time I see you or see you speaking or hear from you, you're so positive and full of life. There's always a twinkle, I think, in your eye. I don't know if you would agree, Nikki, Nicola. I'm wondering
Mm.
if that might be partly why your remissions are so long, why you respond so well to
Mm.
treatment. I don't know. Maybe that's
I think it
anecdotal,
helps.
but
Let me just say, I've always been someone with I've always been a glass half full rather than a glass half empty kind of person.
Mm.
right.
I've always been a bit of an optimist. So I think, I tend to look on the bright side. I'm a Manchester United fan and they sing that at Old Trafford. So,
Right.
so yeah,
Hmm.
I guess it's
Oh,
just the way I am. And I think it's helped. I think it's definitely helped.
Hmm.
I think a positive mental attitude is part of the
absolutely.
battle.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? But as a therapist, the more we can approach this often really awful, really difficult illness with positivity, the
Mm.
better our prognosis, I think. It's not always possible, and we can't make people feel bad if they don't always feel like that. But I think, Simon, you're a
Mm.
great model for the potential, I think, for how we can deal with this with grace, with humor. It's really
Mm.
inspiring to hear your
Mm.
It is,
story and all you've been through.
absolutely. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
goes to show mindset is such a huge thing. And I'm learning a lot
Mm.
about that now with my recent relapse. I
Mm.
really feel like that my mindset is such an important part of, giving yourself a better health outcome physically
Yeah.
and mentally. Yeah, I
I
agree
think
with
you've
that.
got to believe and really believe, that you're going to get better and you're going to
Right.
get through this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, and I remember the feeling when I was initially diagnosed, and they gave me a prognosis of 10 years with
Mm.
treatment, and
Mm.
all I remember thinking was that's just not even an option for me. I'm going to be there for my kids regardless. So, it was hard, mentally, but I was able to let that go after a while once I changed my mindset around it and realized a few things. But it makes such a huge difference.
Mm.
Well,
Mm.
I've been told 3 times in my life that, 50% of the people with my condition survive for 5 years.
Mm.
Well, to me, that's not enough.
Right.
Mm.
That exactly.
Right.
I'm not even going to entertain the idea. Yeah, no,
Nope.
absolutely. Yeah, I just also want to point out you've been doing a lot of patient advocacy work,
Mm.
particularly since 2017 after you joined the FL, Living with FL community. So first of all, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you've put into the community and the Follicular Lymphoma Foundation as well. Simon is one of our Follicular Lymphoma Foundation super supporters, which we don't really talk much about, do we? It's a
Mm.
little bit of
We
a
don't.
secret society, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have we got a special handshake?
It's the Spock one, but on the other hand.
Okay, as long as it's not the
Yeah,
left
we're all
hand.
super supporters. So it's so that's just a little bit of a little group on the side that the Follicular Lymphoma Foundation set up, so for the patients that really want to give back and get involved with the search for a cure, they're a super supporter, and Simon is one of those and has been involved with quite a few things with the FLF. Do you want to talk about some of those things, Simon?
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed getting involved as much as I have, because I think it's important to see just what the future holds in terms of research and development of new treatments and potentially a cure. And I really do believe that, having listened to so many of these with Dr. Mitch, Dr.
The
Mitchell's,
webinars.
yeah, the webinars, I would urge anybody to join the webinars, to just see what is going on in the medical fraternity and just what they're actually developing now, because it's changed so much, from the days when I had CHOP chemotherapy to the new treatments that are now readily available. It's just incredible, and I think we're only really just around the corner from actually finding that cure.
Absolutely,
It's
and
exciting.
it's an honor to be involved in that as well as a community. I think all of us will be playing a part in that, or are playing a part in that. So
Well, I think it's good that the medical profession is actually listening to patients, because you know, in the past I've known doctors who literally were quite arrogant, and what they said goes, and no, that's not the way it works.
No, that's it. We've got to advocate for ourselves and all the other patients around there, because so many times, particularly newly diagnosed, they don't know how to speak up for themselves. So that's what we're here for, to give you that power and lead you to the resources that are going to empower you with the information that you need.
Well, my view is that doctors are not gods. It's your life, it's your decision. At the end of the day, you make that
No one
decision.
knows you more than you.
Needs to be a
That's it.
collaboration.
You know yourself. So
And nobody
That's
knows
it.
that. Nobody knows more about yourself than yourself.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you might spend 10 minutes with your doctor and then walk out the door, and then they're on to the next patient, but you're constantly focused on yourself, and that's it. No one knows you more than you. So it's best to speak up. And if you're not sure, talk to somebody, talk to one of us, one of the, community members, put a post up in the group and talk it out.
Yeah, and get second opinions.
If they're not sure, I would urge anyone to, do check online, have a look at what alternative treatments are available, question the doctors, ask them their opinion of what these new treatments are, and then at the end of the day, it's your decision.
On the subject of webinars, there is one airing on the 13th of August. Is that right, Nikki? The bispecifics webinar, which I think is worth mentioning.
That will have already aired by the time we air this.
Oh, that's right. So that'll be available to watch kind of on catch up, if you like, through the website.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the webinars are available to watch on the FLF support, your support hub, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've got a couple more questions, if you don't mind, Simon, just about how you've coped really with FL, particularly over this period. Well, we're going to ask every guest that we have on, if you could give, this might be a too tough a question, but if you could give one piece of advice to someone that's just going through diagnosis or just being diagnosed, given all the experience and the wisdom that you now have, what would that be?
Well, I'm a big fan of Winston Churchill. I've read most of his books, and some of his quotes are very meaningful. So I would say my favorite one is his wartime quote of, when you're going through difficult times, he said, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Okay.
That's it. And just like and Dory, just keep swimming.
Yes.
Yeah. Another quote that he said was, never, never, ever give in.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
I just keep going.
I mean, I think it's appropriate because we are fighting. I mean, I guess it depends what kind of metaphors you want to use and what speaks to you. But, some of us might say that cancer is like fighting a war within us. Some people might not like that imagery, but I think it fits. It's something that is part of our body. We can't disassociate ourselves from it. We have to make friends with it sometimes, I think. But also it's something we're trying to fight off. And I think that positive attitude that you embody, Simon, is a huge part of that, as I say. How did you, were there times that you did struggle with your mental health at all? And how did you cope with that if that was the
Yeah,
case?
I think probably the toughest time for me was going through the CHOP chemotherapy.
Mm,
Um, and I had some dark days, there's no doubt about that. But
mm,
I was determined to just see it through. And the one thing that I would say is that when you've had that, I kind of looked forward to the next treatment because it was one step nearer to the end. So I had
Yeah.
eight treatments in all, and the first week was quite tough. The second week things got better, and the third week, when I was coming up to the next treatment, was fairly normal.
mm.
And so, with the exception of when I had the methotrexate, which
Yeah.
put me back in bed for a day or two. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
bet.
I think those were the tough times, really. And I think it was
Mm.
quite tough to realize 17 years later that I'd actually relapsed. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
I think I thought, well, just got to get on with it and do it again.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and at
Absolutely.
least the bendamustine and rituximab was nowhere near as invasive as the original CHOP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they both worked.
Yeah.
They both worked well for me, and I've been in remission now completely since 2017. Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah. And when you're going through the CHOP, being 1999 compared to 2017, when you're going through your second treatment, was there support there for you? Like, did you have any like charity organizations that helped you back in 99? And how did it compare to what was available in 2017?
I didn't have any follow-up from any counseling or any mental support, but I didn't ask for it. So I guess
Yeah.
it wasn't sort of offered to me at the time. But
Yeah.
I did have very good specialist nurses,
Mhm.
um, both at Christie's in Manchester and at Guy's Cancer Centre in London.
Mhm.
And they're always available to help if you need it.
Mm.
And I have called on a couple of occasions with a few concerns, sometimes when I thought I was possibly relapsing and didn't. And one thing I didn't mention earlier is that after my bendamustine and rituximab, I had a PET scan which actually revealed that there was still some lymphoma in my mesentery. And I was due to then have some more treatment. And they did consider radiotherapy, but then I've remembered the lady's name now,
Mhm.
Dr. Kim Linton. Dr. Linton said she was going to arrange for another scan just to make sure. And I had another scan, and everything was completely clear, so no further treatment was necessary.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
fantastic.
good.
Oh, that's wonderful. And are you getting checked? How regularly are you getting checked now? Is it like 3 monthly, 6 monthly?
Every 6 months, yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what's that? Is that just blood tests or do you have
I have a
scans
blood
or
test upon arrival, and
yeah.
usually the results of that blood test are in by the time I see the consultant in about 20 minutes later, I suppose.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they usually do a quick check and get me to lie down and check if I got any lumps,
Yeah.
particularly in my neck and my armpits and my groin,
Mm.
and then run through any discussion about have I had any changes or did I feel anything different from the previous checkup, and that's more or less it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Simon, you know that Nikki is our resident nutritionist, and you mentioned before that you have quite a good diet where you can. I just wondered if you could share, if you're able, what
Well,
what,
she
what
might
you
not
eat.
agree with some of this, but I'll tell you what I've done because normally we've always eaten healthily, but I think probably my problem has been that I've eaten too much bread and too many carbohydrates.
Hmm.
And I don't have a sweet tooth, so I don't eat a lot of
Oh, so lucky.
never eaten a lot
Yeah.
of. But I have recently read a couple of very interesting books by a guy called Gary Tobes, who is an investigative journalist. He's not a nutritionist or a doctor, but he's done a lot of research into all of the clinical trials that have been carried out into basically the effects of sugar and how sugar is such an enemy causing diabetes and various other nasty illnesses. And those two books, one of them is called The Case Against Sugar, which is actually if sugar was in the dock in a criminal trial, this would be the case for the prosecution, or
Oh, wow.
that's how he puts it.
Creative.
And it's a fascinating book, and it's all about how the sugar industry has conned us for years into becoming addicted to sugar. How the tobacco industry made cigarettes mild by adding sugar, which then created more lung cancer cases. And it's a fascinating book. And he's actually quite convinced by the keto diet. So I've been on that to get my weight back down. And
okay, that's low carb. So
yeah, low carbs, yeah, no sugar. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is there's not enough fiber in it, probably. But
Mhm.
there are lots of vegetables that you can eat
Yeah.
that do have fiber. So that's what I'm doing. And I've lost, oh gosh, in the last 3 months, I've lost a stone and a half.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
well done.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
good on you.
I'm still on that and
That's good.
continuing to do that.
Make sure you're getting that fiber into you though, Simon. We can talk about maybe a fiber supplement or something when we stop talking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The
I'll do
case
my
for
best.
fiber.
Yes, whole fiber is very important. And that's the thing when it comes to sugar.
Well, I'm keen actually to reduce my weight because it'll put less pressure on my heart. And so I'm doing two things really to try and improve my heart condition. One is obviously having this stem cell treatment in September, and the other now is to lose weight so that I'm not putting the same amount of pressure on my heart to cope with the weight.
Are you doing any exercise, any sort of resistance
Oh yes,
exercise to help build muscle?
oh yes.
Excellent. I like to hear that.
In fact, I'm doing two things now. I I walk further than I could before, but I still struggle if I go up slopes or hills or steps. So I can manage to walk from my home here into the city centre, which is about half a mile or so. But coming back is up a slight slope. So I can get breathless, and sometimes my legs just get tired.
Mm.
And so I'm managing that as best I can.
Yeah,
And
fantastic.
yeah, it's quite tough. The heart condition is really the one that I need to focus on more than anything else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that this next stem cell treatment will improve it again. And if I can get down to, shall we say, my fighting weight again, then then things will be a lot better. I doubt if I'll achieve that, but if I get back down to a reasonable weight,
I'm sure you will achieve that, Simon.
Yes.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you will.
And running.
I don't just walk into Southampton. I became involved probably 18 months ago with, I was introduced to the president of an American company, which you're all too young to remember this, but they manufacture an exercise device called a bull worker.
Oh,
And bull worker was used in the 1960s and 70s by Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, Arnold Schwarzenegger, President JF Kennedy.
the chest one that you kind of pump outwards. Is it that one?
Yeah,
With the
that's right.
springs?
It's tubes. You push it's two tubes with a spring inside, and it also has cables on the outside that when you push
Yeah.
the cables, it compresses the tubes. So there's lots of different exercises. You can do anything on a bull worker that you can do in a gym, and you can take the bull worker with you wherever you go. So I do that. And there's also another little device called an ISO bow, which is just very simple. It's two handles on a piece of webbing, and you use the tension of your own strength, whatever strength you feel comfortable with, to do what they call iso motion, which is a bit like yoga exercises with tension. And
It's a bit like resistance, isn't it?
it is resistance.
Resistance
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
Which is the type of exercise you need because it's really
Yeah.
good at strengthening your bones and building muscle. So
Yeah,
that's really
exactly.
important.
And you know, when we get older, like me, you know, we suffer muscle loss. And so I've been trying to keep my muscle strength going, and I've incorporated this as part of my exercise routine, in addition to my walks into the city centre. I don't think I'll ever be running again with my breathlessness, but the bulwarker exercises, they're also all available on YouTube. Chrisman Hughes, the president, does the exercises himself and does great demonstrations of all these different exercises that you can do with this piece of equipment. You know, the NHS has a particular problem of obesity. That's because I think we as patients sometimes kill them with kindness by giving them chocolates and biscuits and all kinds of sweet treats when we leave hospital to say thank you. And actually that's not a good thing. You know,
I agree. Yeah, we need to change it like a basket of fruit or
yeah, it's much better. If you read the book by Gary Tobes about how bad sugar is for you, then you know it's a no-no. So yeah, it's
absolutely. And do we it's interesting because a lot of people don't really understand why. Why is sugar really that bad for us? So what the problem is with those simple sugars, the ones that have been so heavily processed, is they hit your bloodstream really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So your body then starts to release insulin at a really high rate to try and reduce the level of glucose in the blood. So that's why it's so bad, because then you're you know, it's all about your insulin then
It's like up and down.
it starts to become resistant, and that's why that's where diabetes starts to come into it. And another thing to help balance that is consistent protein throughout the day. So that's my little nutrition tip for this episode, is to keep your protein up and stay away from those highly processed simple carbohydrates. So
that's exactly what Gary Tobes mentions in his book, Nikki. You know, it's so important to have a healthy diet with the right amount of protein and you know, eat your greens.
Fiber.
Absolutely. And if you really do want to have that slice of cake, have a piece of fruit with it. Have something with lots of fiber that will slow down that sugar hitting your bloodstream so quickly.
Great tip. Thank you, Nikki.
I think it's really interesting to listen to you, Simon, where you don't have to go to the gym and pay out. Some people can't afford, or they don't have the time, and it's good to know that there are other ways you can exercise other than just going to the gym. So I think that's really...
Absolutely.
If you look on the website bulwarkerinternational.com, you'll see there's a strapline that says, why pay expensive gym membership? Buy a bulwarker.
I think you should get shares in the company, Simon.
I think we should.
I only go to the gym to see my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I go to practice my Spanish, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's a really good point. I always recommend for my clients, the ones who particularly who can't afford a gym membership, get onto YouTube. There are millions and millions of exercise videos on there, particularly like those specialized ones, like you said, Simon, like with yours with the bulwarker, and I particularly love the Pilates ones and the yoga, and there's also like 5-minute workouts with like 5-pound dumbbells. So that's it's there. So use it.
Nikki, my eldest daughter in Australia, she's in Adelaide. She runs these yoga retreat.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Oh, I'll have to get her details off you. I'd love to do it.
Yep. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Yes. And when are you going to come visit your daughter? Because you've got to stop past and visit me as well.
You know,
not that far, right?
The answer to that one, really, Nikki, is when I feel that I'm up for a 23-hour flight.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we just went to Greece last year, and even a 4.5 hour flight, I found it quite tough at the end. So
it's hard. Yeah.
I
Especially
don't
on
know
the
whether
way
I'm
over here. The jet lag is worse when you coming from the UK to Australia.
Yeah.
I have been playing golf in golf societies. As one of my other charities, I help the Disabled Golf Association, and there are various other golfing with disabilities charities.
Yeah. And
I,
you've done a lot of work. I actually did want to point out that over the last few years, you've been trying to get a charity golf event with the Follicular Lymphoma Foundation off the ground, haven't you? And haven't really had much luck. So I might put a shout out now if there's anybody in the community that is, what area, Simon, are you?
Well, I'm in Southampton, but we can arrange golf events anywhere in the country.
Yeah, well, if there's anybody in the community that wants to get involved in a charity event, a golfing charity event for the Follicular Lymphoma Foundation, get in touch with us at the flcommunitypodcast@gmail.com, and we can put you in touch with Simon if Simon's still keen to get something like that off the ground. But I know you've worked really hard, and it was I was really sad to see that you couldn't really quite get it off the ground.
We didn't get the numbers, no, but I'm hoping. I'm happy to have another go, for next year if there are people that can get involved in promoting it, because I think that's the thing. There's a lot goes into arranging a charity golf day, and a lot of organisation to be done, and we do really need a small team of people who are prepared to put in some time and effort to make it a success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely up for that.
Oh, that's good to hear.
I just wondered, Nicola, are there any comments from our community, from our listeners that have come in that might be useful to talk about with Simon?
Yeah, we've had quite a few. So there's one come in. I would be interested in hearing from the medical profession, things like diagnosis type, treatment, pros and cons. Always curious about treatment in application form and other journeys. Also, how different age groups tolerate treatment, which is a really good point, I think. To date, they've been on watch and wait for 10 years, appreciate all the efforts and all the best. So that's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
There's been one from our YouTube page. The podcast was right on. For many of us, the mental aspects of the initial diagnosis are more devastating than the physical ones. Unfortunately, the medical community doesn't address them as well, and we must struggle through it on our own. I also love the international flair of the podcast. As I believe it's important for us to see all the different approaches around the world to deal with
Southampton.
I think that's an important point, actually, because I'm relating now. I think one of my inspirations was actually my youngest daughter, who's lived with very severe Crohn's disease since she was 9 years old, and the way that she's handled all her, shall we say, progress throughout years and years of treatment inspired me to try to be as brave as she was.
Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's lovely.
That's really moving.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I agree with the international thing. I mean, we certainly are international. I mean, I'm in Australia. You guys are in the UK. We've got majority of our members in the US.
And in Spain.
And in Spain.
It's okay.
I forget
An interloper in Spain.
Yes, and I mean, well, you've been around, Paul, haven't you? You were living in America, only last year, weren't you? So you've done. So yes, we are definitely very international, and it would be interesting if we could maybe talk in later podcast episodes about what the health system is like in these different countries, and how we all navigate it. Because I know particularly in the US, it's really difficult for a lot of people to navigate it, particularly if you're not as well off financially. So I think that's really important to talk about, and maybe sort of we could in the future give some links or some resources for people out there who are really struggling. So we'll look to be doing that in the future.
Yeah. Indeed. Okay, I think we're about finished for our first special guest episode with Simon. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you, Simon. It's so interesting to listen to you.
Yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Really kind of inspiring, I think, to, as I said before, how much you've gone through, how you've done it with such, again, humor and grace. Thank you so much. I'm sure it'll be really thrilling for the community to hear from you. not just in your words on the Facebook group, but actually in living, breathing Technicolor.
Yes, absolutely. And also make sure you go onto the FLF website on the Your Support Hub and check out the webinar on clinical trials, because Simon, you and I did that one together, didn't we? Because we've both been on clinical trials. So that'll be a good one to catch up on. And of course you can find all the webinars on the website there.
Yeah, and please do send any comments, any constructive criticism, any suggestions for future episodes to the FL Community Podcast at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah, please keep those coming in.
Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Spotify and our Apple podcast channel, please. So make sure you subscribe so you're not missing any podcasts, and all the comments we really appreciate. So please keep bringing them in, and any emails feel free to email us to the flcommunitypodcast@gmail.com.
Right, and episodes will be coming out usually on the 1st and the 15th of each month. So if you set, as Nikki said, if you set your app to remind you, I do it on Apple Podcasts. My mum's using Spotify, or you can watch us on YouTube. Just set that little alarm bell next to the thing, and it will remind you.
Yes.
But yeah, we've got a little motto that we've been saying at the end of each episode.
Yes. All right, should we get? We still haven't decided if this is a good idea or if it's corny, Simon. You might want to let us know.
You can tell us, and then we'll cut it.
Yes. All right, here we go. And remember, here at the FL Community Podcast, our motto is
from surviving to thriving.
One story at a time.
Yay! Thanks, guys. What do you think,
Simon?
Was that corny?
Simon's speechless.
Oh dear.
No, it's brilliant. No, very good. I love it. Thank you.
Well, it was your story today, so thank you, Simon.
Yes, thank you
You're
so
very
much,
welcome.
Simon.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
That was a lot of fun.